There's something really special about these early morning moments when the sun's just starting to peek through and that first sip of coffee hits just right. I was watching the steam rise from my mug earlier, and it got me thinking about how we all need these quiet moments to ground ourselves.
I know exactly what you mean. That gentle stillness before the day really kicks in, it's like a gift, isn't it?
It really is. And that's exactly why we're here with you on Blue Mountain Morning, to help create that space where everything just makes sense.
Yeah, because let's face it, our world moves pretty fast, and sometimes we all need that moment to catch our breath and really understand what's happening around us.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to do together this morning. Take all that noise out there and turn it into something that actually connects with our daily lives.
Something that helps us all start our day with a little more clarity, a little more purpose.
All right, let's dive into today's headlines. It's Wednesday, January 15th, and we've got some pretty significant developments in Washington to talk about.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting about today's news? It's like we're seeing two major stories that are really going to shape the next few weeks in American politics.
First up is Special Counsel Jack Smith's report that just came out. Mark, you've been following this pretty closely, right?
I have. Jack Smith's report dives into Trump's actions from his last term, sparking major debate. More on this in a second.
Yes. And while that's happening, we've got this other really interesting situation developing with Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing for Secretary of Defense.
Oh man, yeah, that hearing it's something else. We're seeing this really intense back and forth in the Senate. You've got Democrats raising questions about his experience, while Republicans are really standing firm behind his nomination.
I noticed there were some pretty heated exchanges about his military background and his vision for the department.
Yeah. And what's really striking is how these two stories, Smith's report and Hegseth's hearing, they're kind of painting this bigger picture of where we are politically right now. You've got these parallel tracks of accountability and transition happening simultaneously.
And all this while, most Americans are just trying to make sense of what it means for them, right?
Exactly. Like, these aren't just Washington stories. They're going to have real impacts on how our government functions and ultimately how decisions get made that affect people's daily lives. You know what really stands out to me about all this? These developments we're seeing, they're creating these ripple effects that could really reshape our political landscape.
I've been thinking about that too. Like, how does Smith's report specifically change things going forward?
Well, it's actually pretty significant. We're seeing this unprecedented situation where legal proceedings are intersecting with the early days of a new administration. It's not just about the report itself. It's about how it influences public perception, shapes the narrative around the incoming presidency, and even impacts how political allies and opponents are positioning themselves in this pivotal moment.
And then there's the Hegseth situation, which is kind of creating its own waves, right?
Absolutely. This confirmation process, it's really highlighting these deeper divisions in how different groups envision the future of our defense leadership. And the interesting thing is, it's not just about one position anymore. It's becoming this broader debate about military leadership and civilian oversight.
I've noticed there's this growing conversation about qualification standards for these high-level positions.
Yeah, and here's what fascinates me. These two stories are actually converging to create this perfect storm for the incoming administration. Like, we're seeing this fundamental divide in how Americans view Trump and his allies.
Something I've been wondering, how do you think this affects state-level politics?
That's actually a really good point. These federal-level developments, they're already trickling down to state politics. We're seeing local politicians having to take positions on these national issues.
And I imagine this impacts how future campaigns might operate.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, we're basically watching this real-time reshape of campaign playbooks. Candidates at every level are going to have to navigate these new waters, balancing legal scrutiny, public trust, and, traditional political messaging. In times like these, when there's so much happening in our political landscape, I've found that staying grounded is, well, it's absolutely essential.
I'm sensing you've got some practical wisdom to share here, Mark.
Actually, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this. You know how we sometimes get caught up in the 24/7 news cycle? I've started this practice of what I call intentional engagement.
What does that look like in practice?
So, it's pretty simple, really. Instead of constantly checking news updates, I pick specific times during the day, maybe morning and evening, to really dive deep into what's happening. And honestly, It's been a game changer for my mental health.
That makes so much sense, like creating boundaries with our news consumption.
Exactly. And here's another thing I found really helpful. Getting involved locally. While we're all focused on these big national stories, there's usually, really important stuff happening right in our own communities that we can actually influence,
I love that, bringing it back to where we can make a direct impact.
right? Like maybe it's attending a city council meeting or joining a local civic group. These smaller actions, they're actually huge when it comes to feeling empowered during uncertain times.
And I imagine it helps put these bigger political transitions in perspective.
Oh, totally. You know what I've noticed? When you're actually engaged in your community, these national headlines, they still matter, but they don't feel quite so overwhelming. It's like you're part of the solution rather than just watching from the sidelines.
There's something really powerful about taking a moment to look up from all this news and just breathe. I went mountain hiking last weekend, and
Oh man, those mountain views really put things in perspective, don't they?
they really do. Like, while we're all caught up in these political cycles, those peaks have been standing there for millions of years, just watching it all unfold.
Hmm? And you know what gets me? The way that morning light just sort of creeps across the landscape. First touching the mountaintops, then slowly filling the valleys.
It's like nature's reminder that everything has its own timing, its own rhythm.
Yeah. And it's funny how these ancient landscapes, whether it's the Rockies, the Appalachians, or even the vast plains of the Midwest, they've seen countless political storms come and go.
And they're still standing, still beautiful.
Exactly. Sometimes when the news feels overwhelming, I just step outside and listen to the wind in the trees. It's like it's telling us that there's something bigger, something more permanent than our daily worries.
That's that's really beautiful, Mark, and such a perfect reminder to all of us to just take a moment, look around, and breathe.
As we wrap up today's Blue Mountain Morning, I just want to say how grateful we are to share these moments with all of you.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing how we can all come together like this, finding these little pockets of peace in our busy mornings.
Absolutely. And hey, tomorrow's another chance for us to explore, to learn, and maybe find a bit more clarity together.
We'll be right here, same time, same place, ready to start the day with you all over again.
Until then, keep looking up, stay curious, and remember to take those moments for yourself.
Thanks for joining us on Blue Mountain Morning. Take care, everyone.